Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Flagler Weather Update. Today is the 24th, 2025, for the Flagler Weather Update. That makes today Wednesday. And we're looking at satellite imagery of invest area number AL94, or investigation area AL94. And so it looks rather disorganized right now. This is just a tropical wave at the moment. What's a tropical wave? It's just a disturbance out there, area of disturbed weather, and but these are the things that can develop into, you know, depressions and tropical storms and hurricanes. So we have to watch them. So this particular system is of interest because it's going to be getting into our region before it starts to move off to the north. Now, right now, you really can't see any sense of organization here. You got some thunderstorms, maybe a little bit of rotation in there. You got thunderstorms up over here by Espanola. Just for reference, Puerto Rico is here, and this is the entire system. It's kind of like all around through here, and this is generally drifting off to the west northwest. Now let's go ahead and take a look at let me get out of the satellite here and just taking a look at some of the model data and such. With first, here's where the low pressure system is estimated to be. Generally, just to the south of Puerto Rico, and it's kind of moving off to the west northwest. But again, the weather with it extends over quite a wide area. And so, where's it going to go? That's the $1,000,000 question. So, let's take a look at some of these models here. This takes it up into the Bahamas and is a spread in the models. So, of course, just a little bit of a difference will make a difference on what weather and what experiences we'll see here in Flagler County. And then taking a look at the GFS runs, you can see there's a couple oddballs that go off, but the majority of them generally take it more to the north and off to the northeast, which is definitely what we'd like to see. And looking at another ensemble run here, and again, you can see a few oddball zigs and zags, but the majority of the model data takes it through the Bahamas, then off to the north and east. So what does that mean for us here in Flagler County? Well, let me get to that. There's some uncertainty with it, but the bottom line is, at this point in time, this is not a huge concern for us here in Flagler County. Taking a look at what's going on in the tropics right now. So this is the area that's expected to develop. The center is somewhere just south of Puerto Rico. They expect this. I'll do my, hey there, Ho-Ho Jones. I love your displays. You keep up the good work. We will do our best to keep this away from you. So looking at the system right now, bearing that everything stays on track, that they expect a low pressure system to take better shape, a tropical depression to likely form somewhere in the Bahamas, which is right in here somewhere. It can form anywhere within this red zone. So it could form up here, it could form over here. Now, if it were to form further to the west, that might have a little bit more of an influence on our weather. If it stays further off to the east or along where it's expected to, it's going to affect, either way, what is going to be affected is the coastal conditions, the rip currents, the surf, maybe a little bit of elevated tides. We're not expecting any heavy rainfall. We're not expecting any significant winds, anything like that at this point in time. I say that, though, to say this: stay informed, because sometimes unexpected changes can happen, and some of those changes sometimes are very abrupt with very little notice. So it's always a good idea to have in mind your hurricane plan, your supplies, and all that stuff, and all that and everything. So it's always a good idea to do that, because sometimes unexpected things can happen. But the current thinking from the National Weather Service in Jacksonville and the National Weather Service in Melbourne, that the low pressure system, wherever it forms, stays far enough to the east that for the vast, if not all of us, it's not a big deal at all, unless you're going to the beaches. And there, the rip currents will be increasing, especially Sunday onward, where hazardous ocean conditions are expected to develop due to this system taking shape. Now, if it should wobble a little bit further west than expected, then that might be a whole different ball game there. And again, some of those models kind of pop off there. But I want to go back and show you another models there. And again, I usually don't like to show models because these change every 6 hours. But just as things stand right now, most of the guidance doesn't really get it into hurricane strength. Right now, there's only a couple runs that get it up in a hurricane strength. This one here just goes nuts. But the vast majority of models stay on the lower end. And so it looks more, wherever this goes, it's going to be more rain than wind. But again, if it stays far enough to the east, which is what is expected, then that will keep the weather and all that stuff away from us. But it will churn up the ocean just a little bit. So that's the way things are looking. If you're living beachfront, in an exposed area, if you have concerns about tidal flooding, that kind of stuff, if you're in one of those really low lying areas, like South 23rd Street, South Flagler Avenue, those areas there, and if you're those places that might see a little bit of water when there's a high tide, those places I would just be staying on touch of what's going on with the tides. But right now, some elevated tides possible, and rough surf, that kind of stuff. The marine conditions getting rough. That's really all we're expecting out of this right now at this point. We might not even get that much rain out of this, and I'm going to show you that forecast in a little bit. Let's talk about elsewhere in the tropics. We have Umberto that has formed out here, and that's also going to kick up the surf. And here's the other thing that could happen too. If this tropical cyclone really gets its act together, it looks like it's going to by the National Hurricane Center forecast, it can actually take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the nearby system, and it might not even allow it to rapidly form at all. So it might have a hard time, especially if this gets bigger. If this becomes a pretty powerful hurricane, this could actually hinder the development of this next system that's over here, that we're watching, AL94. So let's talk about the wind risk from Umberto right now. It stays well off to the east of us. Bermuda might, got to kind of watch out, but we don't see remotely even any closeness to that at this point in time. So Umberto, other than kicking up the surf, not going to be a problem for us at all. Now, elsewhere in the tropics, we do have Storm Gabrielle. Let's get back to that. Bear with me. And Gabrielle is a hurricane, and it is on its way towards Europe. So, believe it or not, hurricane warnings in the Azores. You don't see that much, but yeah, it's making a beeline there. And once it gets through there, it's going to transition from a tropical system to a non-tropical system. What does that mean? In layman terms, it becomes a storm system that doesn't depend on warm air. So it becomes like a storm like you see up north, like a big nor'easter. And that then heads right into Portugal and perhaps Spain. So it looks like they're going to catch some wind over here. And this may actually get bigger, too, as it goes further to the east. So those winds might extend quite a ways from the storm as it moves towards Europe. If you have any European trips planned, I would just stay up on that, especially if you're going to Portugal or Spain or in those areas. But again, going back to the main message in the tropics, this is the system to watch. Right now, we don't see any serious concerns with it other than kicking up the surf and all that. That's not really a serious concern unless you get in the water. And according to all of the forecasts, what the forecasters are thinking and all that stuff, I caution again, though, to please stay. Don't go to bed on this. Please stay informed. Use your official sources, hurricanes.gov. That's where this is right here. This is as official as it gets. These are the best people in the business as far as tropical weather forecasting. Some of the best tropical forecasters on Earth work here. And so this is right where you should go to get all your updates. And this is where we go to get ours. Going further into the future, what about the rest of the month? And because October is almost here. Well, we do see some very slight potential for another development in the mid-tropical Atlantic. This means a 20% chance of development out there. And then beyond that, other than the Gulf, when we get into the middle part of October, there's going to be potential, again, very slow potential of development in the Western Caribbean or Southern Gulf when we get into the 8th to the 14th of October. So remember some of our storms we've had here in Flagler County have been October and November storms. So just because we get to September doesn't mean we're off the hook. Now, this does not mean certainty of development either. This just means there's a low chance, like 20% chance or so, of something maybe getting organized during this time frame. So as we go into the weeks ahead, keep your guard up on tropical weather, at least through through October. Let's be clear on that. So let's talk about our weather and how things are going to shape up here locally. And then also, will that tropical system have any effect on us? We're going to look at the current forecast. Take a look at the way things are looking right now. We do have high pressure that's over us, frontal system moving in. But as we get into the end of the week, that front closes in. We get to Friday now, and this front is going to be one of the main things that deflects the whatever develops in the Bahamas. This front should kick it off to the north and east. Exactly when and where it's going to do that is the question. But as this front comes in, it may actually increase the chances of showers and thunderstorms. We are going to see a pattern change. Late in the last few days, the showers and storms have been transitioning inland. When we get to tomorrow, especially Friday and Saturday, the storms are going to start coming out of the southwest and moving more towards the northeast. So we will see rain chances increasing as we go into the weekend. Of course, the weekend, but it's not going to be a washout. So look at temperatures right now because it's going to be warming up. For tonight, though, largely lows in the 70s, lower 70s inland, maybe mid to upper 70s beaches because the ocean temperature is about 82 degrees. There could be some patchy, localized fog inland during the early morning hours, so some of it could be locally dense. So Thursday, we're looking at highs in the 90s county-wide, except the immediate beaches. You're going to be into the upper 80s there because of that sea breeze. And then as we go into Friday, high temperatures generally the same. 80s beaches, 90s, lower 90s inland. And again, looking at those nighttime temperatures, they stay pretty consistent through the period. Mid-70s beaches, lower 70s inland. As we get into the weekend now, high temperature Saturday, we start to see those temperatures start to come down because that front is going to get into the picture. That front is going to come over us and stall. And so that, again, should keep any tropical troubles, should keep that stuff away. But we could see the odd strong thunderstorm or two. Now, Ho-Ho Jones, I know you worry about wind. I think your biggest concern from wind is going to be from thunderstorms, not from tropical weather, at least the way things stand right now. Keep in mind, things can change. So, but I think that's going to be your biggest concern. Now, as we go into Sunday, still rather warm into the 80s, but not up into the 90s. And as we get into Monday, staying right near 90, mid-80s beaches. And then as we go into, and pretty much low temperatures consistent through the same, mid-70s beaches, low 70s inland. And into Tuesday, highs in the 80s, pretty much county-wide, cooler at the beaches. How about rain chances? Let's talk about that. So let me and if you want to get to this map, you can get to it from the National Weather Service in Jacksonville. So let's talk about rain chances tonight. Zippo chances of rain tonight. But tomorrow, we see those chances starting to bump up. About 35% or so inland, about 25% at the beaches. Still thunderstorms and showers, any that develop may trend inland, but you're going to start to see things, a little bit better coverage of them. You'll see, instead of just the odd shower and storm here and there, you might see a few more scattered showers and storms. Now, as we get into tomorrow night, again, rain chances dwindle down, maybe 30%. You could get the odd shower off the ocean. Now, as we get into Friday, things start to change because the winds are going to start coming up out of the south and out of the southwest, and that's going to allow showers and storms that develop to our southwest to push towards the beaches. So rain chances will go up substantially on Friday. Does not mean it's a washout. It just means that at least at one point during the day, you're likely going to see a round of showers and thunderstorms. And again, one or two of those could be strong. So, Ho-Ho Jones and your display out there, that's the one concern I would have is just that, is the potential of squally winds in any of those storms. And then as we get into the weekend here, let's go into Saturday, those rain chances stay elevated, 60% chance county-wide. Again, it does not mean it's going to rain the entire day. Sunday, those rain chances begin to dip downwards around 50% or so. And as we get into Monday, we're seeing those rain chances starting to decrease a little bit, about 40% chance, and as we get into Tuesday, about a 30% chance. Let's talk about winds now, because I know there's some concerns about the winds. Let's look at this. So these winds do not cover thunderstorm winds. This is just regular winds throughout the day. So as we go through the week, max gusts 17, 20 miles an hour. When we get to Monday, we might be gusting up to 20 miles an hour at the beaches, 15 to 16 inland, but nothing real crazy. Gusting maybe up to 21, a little bit breezy on Tuesday, maybe on the backside of that front. But we're not expecting any substantial winds. Again, I want to make sure I specify that these wind chances may change if something really weird happens. Whoops, let me get the radio there. This is what I was looking for. What was I looking for here? Standby, convective outlooks. So looking at the chances of any strong thunderstorms and such, 3-day outlook, We have just a thunderstorm risk, but we don't see any potential for severe weather on a large scale. The odd strong thunderstorm is possible, but we don't see any large-scale severe weather threats developing. There will be a better chance of severe storms to our north as that front closes in. Now, I'm going to bounce back to heat because I forgot to do one thing, heat index numbers, because that's important. Heat index counts. So Thursday, heat index numbers getting up into the hundreds countywide, including the beaches. Tomorrow, Friday, heat index numbers still up into the hundreds, 90s at the beaches. Then we start to get a little bit of relief on Saturday because we'll see some cloud cover and such. Nothing you guys can't handle out there, but if you're going to be outside, just be aware of that. And I'm going to bounce back to rainfall real quick because I did forget to get the rainfall amounts. Total rainfall right now, next 7 days, up to an inch. That is not a big deal. That is not a big deal at all. So again, all the weather and everything with that system offshore should stay out there other than churning up the ocean. So let's go a little bit further into the future. This is the forecast from the 30th of September into October 4th. Look for temperatures to be averaging above normal. Look for precipitation chances to be averaging above normal. Going into the middle part, first week of October rather. So looking at above normal precipitation chances and above normal temperatures. So definitely the heat will stay on as we go into October. Going into looking at the October monthly outlook and taking a look at that. So looking at temperatures to be above normal for the month of October. On the average, it doesn't mean that every single day is going to be like that, but we're expecting temperatures to be above normal on the average in October. It doesn't mean you can't get a cool snap. And then also look for precipitation to be above normal during the month of October. It does not mean it's going to rain every day. It just means that expect above normal rainfall amounts. Now let's go back to hazards here. And this one is interesting. We'll have to kind of watch this. So chances of above normal precipitation. This takes us in the time frame from October 2nd to October 3rd. So the Climate Prediction Center is seeing something that could possibly give us some heavy rainfall as we start the month of October. So we'll have to kind of watch that because we do get these outlooks from time to time, and many times they don't come to fruition. So and then we're also looking at a wind risk in that same time frame from October 2nd to October 3rd. So the potential for strong winds in that time frame as well. So the Climate Prediction Center is sensing something might be going on here that forms down here and goes up the East Coast. Could it be tropical in nature or not? Who knows? And this outlook gets updated, so this might go away. But just to be aware that, again, that hurricane season goes all the way to the end of November. And so this just means that there is a slight risk of those stronger winds anywhere in this corridor. And again, let's go back and take a look at precipitation. Precipitation chances, again, this is the risk of heavy rainfall. And again, a slight risk of that same area from northeast Florida all the way up to Maryland. So we'll be watching that and see how that shakes out in the weeks ahead. So folks, that's going to wrap it up. Again, quick look at the beaches. I didn't bring up my beach forecast here, but expect surf 3 to 5 feet along the beaches. Surf temperature 82 degrees. Marine conditions will be deteriorating as whatever goes on out here in the Bahamas begins to take shape over the weekend. And again, rip currents, all us locals, we know how to deal with the rip currents, but if you got friends from out of town, they don't. So make sure they're keen on how to get out of rip currents, or maybe just best to stay out of the water when the ocean is rough. So that's going to wrap it up. We will do another update this weekend unless something breaks loose. So everybody out there, have a great evening. If you're just coming in here, you can rewind it. We'll also be posting our YouTube link. Got a question? Drop it in the comments. We'll go back to you. Take care. Bye-bye now.